Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Mermaid Mystics Substack channel. Welcome to Major Arcana month. For the month of January, we are going to be diving into the study of tarot. We're going to be exploring every single card in the Major Arcana. Today is the first day of this, so welcome. I'm going to be talking about the Fool card. If you are learning tarot, I recommend getting something to write notes with, pen and paper or your laptop, whatever you like, because I'm going to be going into every single card so that you can learn the magic of the tarot. So without further ado, let's explore the magic of the Fool. So what we see here is the Fool is number 0 in the tarot. We can see there is a figure on a cliff. They are holding some kind of rucksack in one hand, a white rose in the other. The sun shines behind them. Lower to the ground, we see there is a dog, and behind them, mountains. What does all of this mean? So we see that there's a figure about to take a leap of faith. This is what you are commonly going to hear whenever you are learning about the Fool, and that's because we cannot see where the Fool is landing. This is an essential part of the wisdom that the Fool brings us. We are not meant to know everything, and we cannot be frozen and refuse to act until we have the whole map laid out. There are times to plan more thoroughly, and there are times to take a leap. This is a time in which we are encouraged to take that leap of faith. The rucksack that this figure is holding suggests that even if you don't have much, everything they have is fitting into that little bag, you have enough. You have enough to get started on your journey. Once you take the leap, the rest of the things that you need, as you need them, will start to appear. The dog beside his feet suggests a spirit guide. So pay attention to the signs and synchronicities because you will get messages to take the leap of faith. Alternatively, if this is not a leap that you should be taking, so if you get this card in a blockage position, for example, your spirit guides will be sending you signs. So the dog is letting you know you do have spiritual assistance. It's just important to listen to it. The white rose in the figure's hand is a symbol of purity from alchemy. Purity is not referring to perhaps what we might think of it in a modern age, any kind of Christian influence. Rather, purity refers to being the truest expression of ourselves. Think to who you truly are beyond the job, beyond the money that you earn, beyond titles, who you truly are at your heart and soul's core. This is telling us that this person is taking a leap of faith in that direction. They're taking a leap of faith that aligns with their truest expression of themselves. The rocky mountains in the background remind us that life is full of ups and downs, and you're not doing anything wrong if there's been a down. And when you're up, enjoy it, but they will be down again, and that's how life goes. This is not to limit it to good or bad times. Some times are more challenging than others. It doesn't mean that there isn't something fantastic in there. Sometimes the easy times aren't as fantastic as we think. This is just a reminder with the spiky mountains. We're about to embark on quite an adventure full of many different things. You're encouraged to say yes. Now, with all tarot cards, something that we want to remember is that there are no good or bad cards. I recognize this is sometimes a difficult lens to shift to, particularly when you see scary cards. But if you can remember that every single tarot card has your back and every single tarot card has lessons, challenges, and gifts, then you can see how the reading is trying to support you the best that it can. Your spirit guides are supporting you the best that it can through the tarot. So, aligned, I'm going to call this card aligned when we're getting more of the gifts of the Fool. Aligned, this is suggesting that you do take the leap of faith, that you don't overthink it, that even if it doesn't make sense or you have no idea how it's going to land, action is encouraged. Faith is only present if you don't know exactly what's going to happen. And so that's what you're doing. You don't need a roadmap when the Fool appears. You need faith and you need action and you need to trust. However, if a tarot card is out of alignment, as I said, perhaps in a blockage position, what the Fool might be suggesting is that the leap of faith is less about faith and more about fear. Because instead of planning or making some structure, they're kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall. The leap of faith is really just a lack of commitment disguised as spontaneity. So if this card shows up in a blockage, we might need to examine where we are not crossing our T's or dotting our I's, or where we're trying to just be like, we'll just see what happens because we don't really trust ourselves to create what happens. Okay, my friends. Lastly, the planetary association for the Fool is Uranus. Uranus is a planet of, I always think of Uranus as a bit of a rebel rouser, but it's really, we're not sticking to what's known. Uranus likes to break down what isn't working. It's very innovative. So with the Fool, there is also a chance that when you're taking this leap of faith, you are going off script. You are not doing necessarily what is expected, whether that's of what your own expectations or society. You are being a bit inventive when the Fool cool comes up. You really are marching to the beat of your own drum. And we see this lastly with the sun in the background. The sun in the tarot often indicates clarity and authenticity, vitality, abundance, and warmth. Now, out of alignment, sometimes the sun can be a little bit of too much ego. So we would consider that as well if this was in a blockage position. All right, my friends, thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed your lesson about the Fool. Stay tuned as we go through each and every card in the Major Arcana this month. Take care.